Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I'm bringing you the second armor guide that I am officially making. And this one is going to be the most expensive suit of armor, so it's actually going to have a lot in common with the last one I made, which was the best AAR, or the best armor rating one. This one shares several of the same pieces, but obviously some of them are different. But that being said, it is significantly more expensive, and that's why we're making this video. So, like always, I'm going to go through it layer by layer. I'll show you the base layer, the second layer, the main layer, and then the top layer, and then I'll discuss the weight, value, and the armor rating of this suit. Now, keep in mind, even though this one isn't quite as good as far as armor value goes, compared to the best armor rating one that I did, it's still very, very good. It's one of the best suits of armor in the game, and the value is very, very high. As far as where to find these things, as I disclosed in my previous video, I have not yet gone through and mapped out the locations of each item, but the vast majority of the clothing and armor in this game can be easily purchased at one of the stores. Here in the Trotsky region, there are only a couple, so if you're looking to buy something in this region at the beginning of the game, there's one tailor shop in this region, and it is Tailor Bartoshek in Troskowitz. Other than that, there's a blacksmith in Takov where you can buy some armor and weapons from, and then there's a blacksmith in Trotsky Castle, Blacksmith Osina. There's also a cobbler up there for some of the gloves and boots. But other than that, there aren't really a lot of places to buy clothing and armor in the Trotsky region. You can either get stuff in this region by killing bad guys, killing guards / civilians, or finding it in some of the treasure locations. So with all that being said, once you get to the Kuttenberg region, it becomes much easier to buy armor and clothing because just in Kuttenberg itself, there's, I think, a half dozen armor stores, there's 3 or 4 tailors, there's 4 or 5 blacksmiths / swordsmiths, so pretty much everything in the game can be purchased in Kuttenberg. So as far as immersion goes, that does make a lot of sense. But with all that being said, this will not be a location guide. That's basically the whole point of what I'm saying here. So let's just get down to the actual suit of armor, and I'll show you how to make up the most expensive suit of armor in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And so starting us off with the base layer, you can see in front of you here, we have the padded chausses for our leg wear. These are worth 218.5 groschen, and here are the stats. So stab of 31, slash defense of 43, and blunt of 34. Then we have the quilted caftan, which has a price of 760, making it the most expensive torso covering in the game. This one has a stab defense of 13, slash defense of 47, and blunt defense of 35. Then the other stuff doesn't give us any armor value, but it is expensive, and the goal is going to be to fill every armor slot. So the most expensive belt in the game is the Noble's belt. It's the one that gives you 4 slots. Its price is 220 groschen. The Noble's pouch is the best pouch in the game that gives us 4 quick slots for consumables. That is also 220 groschen. And then the most expensive ring in the game is the Golden Cross ring that gives us, or that has a price of 660. And then the most expensive necklace is the Golden Cross with garnets. That also has a price of 660. So already we are wearing what would probably be considered fairly expensive clothing as far as most of the people in the game are concerned. But we're just getting started. That's the base layer. Let's add our second layer. So our second layer consists of our padding and, or in this case, mail, because it's just all mail this time. And our chainmail hauberk that we're wearing is the hauberk long. This has a value of 1,092.6 groschen, making it the most expensive chainmail in the game. This one has a stab defense of 33, slash defense of 68, and blunt defense of 55. Then we have our mail collar with badge. This one has a price of 491.7 groschen, has a stab defense of 27, slash defense of 68, and blunt defense of 55. And then finally, our mail hood with a coat of arms. This has a price of 297.9 groschen, a stab defense of 28, slash defense of 77, and blunt defense of 59. So that is our second layer of armor. Let's add our main layer, or the plate armor. And so here on the right, you can see our main layer of armor gives us an actual suit of armor. So you can tell that we are looking a lot more like a well-armored knight in this one. This one is made up of the Nuremberg plate gauntlets, which have a price of 5,254.9 groschen, a stab defense of 134, slash defense of 98, and blunt defense of 34. Then the Nuremberg gauntlets with a price of 3,415.6 groschen, a stab defense of 134, slash defense of 98, and blunt defense of 34. The Noble's plate legs, which have a price of 5,368.8 groschen, a stab defense of 134, slash defense of 98, and blunt defense of 34. Our helmet is the Noble's bassinet, which has a price of 5,386.3 groschen, a stab defense of 134, slash slash defense of 98 and blunt defense of 34. Our cuirass or body armor is the Milanese cuirass, which has a price of 6,043.1 groschen, making it possibly the most expensive item in the game. A stab defense of 134, slash defense of 98, and blunt defense of 34. And of course, we've also added on some spurs because we have to have shoes or boots or whatever on to wear spurs, and so this is the layer at which we can add them. And we have the knight spurs, and they have a price of 461.8 groschen. So as of right now, this suit of armor is already amongst the most expensive you can possibly assemble, but we still have one layer. We have the outer layer to add, so this is it. As it still looks pretty good, let's add the outer layer and ruin it. And so the two layers that we add with the outer layer are the fitted coat, which is the most expensive coat that I've been able to find in the game. So as far as the outer layer slot, this one up in the upper right hand corner goes, this is the most expensive item we can put there. It costs 305.9 groschen, has a stab defense of 1, slash defense of 3, and blunt defense of 4. So stat wise it doesn't add much, but price wise, you know, it makes it more expensive, which is what we were going for today. Same can be said for the hood that we're using. We're using a brocade hood. There are several of these that are all the same price. I just chose the one that was on the top, and I think that it looks relatively good with the outfit. So this one costs 315.6 groschen, or that's the value, and it has a stab defense of 1, slash defense of 3, and a blunt defense of 4. So all of that put together means that we have filled every single armor slot in this game, and our stats for this suit of armor, just as you see it here, a total weight of 87 pounds, so obviously quite heavy, but you know, it makes sense considering we're wearing all that stuff. A total value, which is what we're here for today, of 31,172.7 groschen, making it, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't be this the topic of this video, the most expensive suit of armor you can possibly wear in this game. The stats for it are also quite good. So our average head armor rating is 233, our average for the body is 212, our average for the arms is 214, and our average for the legs is 250.3, giving us an overall average armor rating of 215. So like I said, not as good as the best armor rating suit that you can put together in this game, which I showed in a previous video, but only 15 points shy, so still pretty dang good considering, you know, the fact that this was more about the price of it. But we can make it more expensive still, because as you can see, there's a lot of slots that we do not have filled up. So we're going to fill those up with the most expensive in-class item, and we're going to add that to the value, so stick around. All right, so adding in our weapons, and I'll explain what we did here, we can bring our total value, wait, I'll go through the weapons first, that way it'll be more dramatic. So starting us off with the least expensive thing we added was the torch, which only is worth 6 groschen, so nothing crazy there, but now we have a torch equipped. Then for our dagger slot, there are, as far as I know, only 2 daggers in the game. There's the regular dagger, which you find all over the place, and then the dagger of Astarte, which just weighs a little bit less. As far as I know, it doesn't do anything differently. It does, you know, they're just used for stealth kills and stuff, so it's not like it does more damage or anything. The only difference is that it weighs a little bit less. It costs the same as a regular dagger, but I figured I'd include it because it's exclusive. So that is worth 23 groschen. Then we have, for the rest of these slots, I'll explain my mentality here. So the dueling longsword is the most expensive weapon in the game when it is at master crafted quality, and that value is 3,662.7 groschen. So, like I said, that makes it the most expensive weapon in the entire game, so that's why that's my primary weapon. After that, we went with it from an immersion standpoint, because the top 4 most expensive weapons are probably all longswords, or maybe longswords and then a gun. So I figured I would do it as if I was actually equipping myself, and when I used to go heavy, or when I load out myself for a heavy knight ready for battle in this game, this is typically the loadout I do. So my primary weapon is a longsword, then my secondary weapon is a blunt weapon, or heavy weapon. In this case, I went with the knight's axe, because the mastercrafted knight's axe is the most expensive one-handed heavy weapon in this game at 2,483.4 groschen. And then I paired a kite shield with, or a knight's shield with it, which is the most expensive class of shield in the game. Obviously, all of the different knight shields are worth the same amount. They're all worth 356.7 groschen. I just chose the old Town of Prague Knight Shield because I think it looks kind of cool. That's really the only reason I chose that. My third weapon, or tertiary weapon, is the poleaxe, because the level 3 poleaxe is the most expensive polearm in the game, and that's worth 993.3 groschen. And then finally, for our ranged weapon, I went with the Master's Handgun at level 3 and some lead balls, because the Master's Handgun at level 3 is the most expensive ranged weapon in the game at 1,668.2 groschen. So all of that put together, now show definitely has our Henry dressed in a more expensive outfit than anyone in the game could possibly be wearing, you know, unless they're wearing this exact thing. Because that total value, including these weapons, is 40,766 groschen. A ridiculous amount of money. So that is the most expensive suit of armor, and now that we've added it, the most expensive loadout of weapons that Henry can have on him. I know that's mostly pointless, and it doesn't matter, but some people really like to wear something very expensive, for whatever reason, even if it doesn't get you anything extra. I guess I could have looked at the secondary stats. So, obviously, we're wearing some pretty fancy items, with our fancy jewelry, our spurs, our outer clothing being expensive is fancy, so this outfit also brings our charisma all the way up to 30. Our speed is at 27, because obviously we're wearing a fairly heavy suit of armor, but still that's pretty fast. And our conspicuousness, noise, and visibility are all pretty close to being maxed out, which makes sense given what we're wearing. And now, that's all for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope that if this is the type of content you enjoy, that it tickled your enjoyment bone, if that's a statement that should be said. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or recommendations for future videos or armor guides, let me know down in the comment section below. But in any case, thanks again for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.